This is Headbutts Unboxing. We are back in the house, and so far it's been a hot summer, and it's been a hot year in boxing as well. We got breaking news coming in, according to Tyson Fury. He's saying that him and Schwarz might be fighting for the WBO belt, and let's jump into this boxing scene article and see if we can make some sense out of this. Anyway, it says Tyson Fury says WBO title could be at stake with Schwarz. Tyson Fury claims Saturday's fight with Tom Schwarz could yet be for the WBO heavyweight title, so recently lost by Anthony Joshua. Fury 30 fights in Las Vegas for the first time against Germany's Schwarz at the MGM Grand. Having recently signed with influential U.S. promoter Top Rank and head of an anticipated rematch with WBC champ Deontay Wilder next year. Alright, I'm gonna skip down just a little bit. Matter of fact, no, I won't. I'm gonna have to read this whole thing. It says Joshua unexpectedly losing his undefeated record and the IBF, WBA, IBO, and WBO titles when he was stopped by Andy Ruiz Jr. earlier this month has already dramatically changed the heavyweight landscape, and Fury is predicting further developments as early as this week. Ruiz Jr. could be stripped of the WBO title if he pursues a lucrative rematch with Joshua instead of fighting the mandatory challenger the WBO is expecting to announce following the outcome of Fury Schwarz. Now, this is a little weird. Not really far as the whole him getting stripped for a mandatory and this, that, and the third. To me, is he's talking about it could be for the WBO belt Saturday. That's what I find weird about it. Why Saturday? Because him, and when I say him, I mean Ruiz Jr. and AJ haven't signed anything yet. It's not official. Even though it's a clause, it still hadn't been made official. You don't have no date, no nothing. So how could you be fighting for the WBO belt come Saturday? Now, if you're saying down the road, if he does accept the Wilder fight and it becomes official, they'll strip him of the title and hand the winner of this fight the belt, that's a little different. Even though it's kind of the same thing, but not really. Because what he's saying is like they might be fighting for the belt, even though it still would technically be them fighting for the belt if the winner of this fight wound up with the WBO belt down the road if Andy Ruiz take the match with Joshua. But it's, I don't know, it sounds like he's kind of jumping the gun, or somebody's jumping the gun. But anyway, let's continue with the article. It is highly unlikely the WBO would act before Saturday should that rematch be confirmed. But commercial interest means there's much to gain from a rematch being announced in the build up to Fury versus Schwarz. And Joshua's long-term rival has been told he could yet be the one to benefit. I'm hearing now that it could be on the line on Saturday night, Fury told Press Associate Sports. Now, I mean, did I just read the sentence before, or excuse me, the little bit of well, it's a couple sentences, maybe paragraph, whatever before. Did I miss something? Because it sounded like they were like saying basically what I was saying. Matter of fact, let's double back real quick. It says it is highly unlikely the WBO would act before Saturday should that rematch be confirmed. See, that's basically what I was just saying. But commercial interest means there's much more to gain from a rematch being announced in the build-up of Fury Schwarz. Okay, I see what they're saying. They might do it just to put the news out before the fight. And Joshua's long-term rival has been told he could yet be the one to benefit. I'm hearing now that it could be on the line on Saturday night, Fury told Press Associate Sports. That inside information, so may be I shouldn't have said that, though I've said it now anyway, so maybe it'll be on the line on Saturday night. There's a chance it's highly doable, so I've been told. So maybe it'll be for the WBO championship as well. when you're the lineal champion, that's as big as it gets. It doesn't get any bigger than that. It doesn't matter how many belts the other heavyweights have got. They've got to beat Tyson Fury to be number one. If not, the winner of me and Tom Schwarz would be mandatory for the WBO, because it's the number 3 and number 2 in the ranking fighting each other. Now, I can live with that. To me, that makes sense. I'm not really into all this stripping crap and giving somebody a title, because to me, that's basically putting things in the same boat as what. Now, mind you, let's step back. All of these titles, WBO, WBA, and the IBF, I don't know about the WBO, but all of those titles are really Tyson Fury's. Now, we can argue over whether he deserved them or not. I've just been on the one end of the spectrum and the other, far as his claim to those titles based off what happened in the past. But far as in the ring actions, nobody has beaten him. Technically speaking, that WBO belt really is his anyway. Now, you could argue Andy Ruiz had a claim to it. Far as the Joseph Parker stuff, maybe a bad decision, but the belt would have been Fury's before then, regardless. But the point is, I'm not into all of this stripping stuff, because that's how Joshua kind of got him in the first place. Because Fury was stripped, other people wound up with the belt, he got a hold of those other people, he got the belts that way. It muddies up the water. I want to see people lose titles by fighting. So if you want to make the winner of this fight Schwarz versus Fury the mandatory for the WBO, then that's great. I had no problem with that. Which is funny, because that kind of, the Schwarz Fury thing supposedly had its place in the WBC ranking as well, but Dillian White and Fury supposed to be fighting after, probably won't happen, whatever. But the point is, I'm not into all this stripping stuff. All it does is bring confusion to the division, but that's what happens when you have all of these titles, because at the end of the day, all they care about is their own particular sanctioning body, not the others. And truth be told, it's never really meant for us to have a unified champion. History tells us that, because at some point, if you stay unified for like a couple years, eventually you're going to get stripped. That's just how it works, because it's going to come to a point where the WBO is going to say, we want you to fight such and such, and the WBA go agree with it, but the IBF go like, nah, we want you to fight such and such and such, and the WBC might turn around and say the same thing with another opponent. Well, you know, so you might be getting pulled in 2 or 3 different ways by four different bodies. You might have 1 or 2 that agree, and one other section of the body like, nah, forget that. We want you to fight such and such and such. So it's never really meant for us to have unified champions with all of these sanctioning bodies. A robbery, let's get back to the article though. It says, a rivalry also exists between Fury's promoter Frank Warren and Bob Arum with Eddie Hearn, who promotes Joshua, that could yet influence that particular picture. But Fury insists his focus remain on Schwarz and relishes what has essentially been a lifelong dream. The former world heavyweight champion revealed earlier this year that he resisted opportunities to visit Vegas as a tourist because of a vow he made to himself in his youth that he would avoid the glamorous destination until his career took him there, which it finally has this week. It feels absolutely amazing, fantastic, he said. I've been to the casinos a couple of times. They've got restaurants, so I have had a couple of buffets, walked down the strip and back. Once you've been here a day, you've seen everything. If you've been in one hotel, you've seen them all. There's a lot of casinos, lots of stuff to do, pool parties, but stuff I can't really enjoy till after the fight. I bet you can't. I've got an after party, a pool party is going down. I'm back where I belong a year after coming back on top of the world as the #1 rated heavyweight on the planet. Yeah, that's disputable, but all of that'll be sorted out by 2020. 2020, it is what it sounds like. 2020, the year of clarity in the heavyweight division, and I look forward to it. Anyway, I just wanted to share that article, and things really are going to get murky if they start stripping titles. But that's part of what happens, and it's funny because soon as the Joshua Ruiz rematch was started being talked about after the upset, like a couple days, the first thing we heard was the sanctioning bodies were not going to get in the way of the rematch. Now we're hearing something different. Now, I would prefer to hear this from the WBO, because I like Tyson Fury as a fighter, but as a person, I don't trust anything that comes out of his mouth, because, I mean, let's face it, he's a liar. That's not me taking a shot at the man, but he's a liar. He says one thing, then he'll turn around and say something else. He contradicts himself. I mean, all power to him, you know, whatever. But the point is, you will hear him say things, then turn around and say something different. For example, we heard him praise AJ after the loss. Then, like 2 days later, we heard him clown AJ after the loss. So, who knows what's going to come out of Tyson Fury's mouth, and who knows whether it's true or not. But the point is this credible news? I don't know, but I felt like I should report it anyway, but I prefer to hear it out of the WBO's mouth. But anyway, that's pretty much all I got. This is Head Bustin' Boxing. Fight Doctor, hit me up in the comment section. Is this credible news? Is Tyson Fury telling us the truth? Should we be waiting for the WBO to put this out? Also, shout out to Blue Blood Sports TV. He was the first person that I heard report it. So I had to double back and go, find the source. Hit me up in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Also, hit that like button, hit that share button, hit that subscribe button. Matter of fact, double down and hit that bell so you get the notifications. This is Head Bustin' Boxing Fight Doctor. I am out.